Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back for day 3, We Rise, Purified Power. So we've been spending the last 2 days contemplating animosity and what that looks like and feels like and the impact that it has on us as human beings in the external world, but perhaps more significantly from this perspective of our yoga practice, the impact that the presence of animosity has on us as meditator. It is one of the biggest obstacles that we will want to overcome and will most likely, because of the way that the human brain is set up, have to work diligently daily on overcoming the presence of not only animosity, but the other 3 potent mental contaminants. Just by nature of us still being animals that are hardwired for survival, these contaminants will continue to sprout anew repeatedly. So if you're feeling that happen this month, next year, know that that is normal. So don't think, oh dear, what a failure I am as a yoga practitioner. Just think, oh dear, here I am being human, and apply the antidotes that we're going to be working with. The first of which we'll start to entertain today, and that is an internal environment of friendliness. Okay, so again, a reminder that the work with Sutra 133, while it will have a positive ripple effect into the external world, the orientation for Yoga Sutra 133 and also for the yamas and the niyamas is on us as individuals, as meditators. So this internal environment of friendliness may or may not ever reach the person or people or ideologies that we are currently experiencing animosity toward. So it's not about going out and ingratiating ourselves to those that we feel animosity toward. Instead, it is recognizing the internal presence, influence, and impact of animosity and addressing the antidote there by generating, fostering this inner environment of friendliness. Okay, so take a moment just to consider what friendliness may look and feel like internally, and then we'll move into our mantra recitation and practice. So just a moment to consider. What does friendliness feel like? What is that inner experience, the inner environment of friendliness? Okay. You can close your eyes if they aren't already, and we'll chant the Gayatri Mantra, Mahamrityunjaya Mantra, and Vishvadeva 3 times each. bhuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam Bargo devasya dhimahi dhyo yonah prachodayat Om bhurbuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam Bargo devasya dhimahi dhyo yonah prachodayat Om bhurbuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam Bargo devasya dhimahi dhyo yonah prachodayat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityur Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityur Mukshiyamamritat Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityur Mukshiyamamritat Om Anubadraha Kritavoyantu Vishvato Daktaso Aparitasa Udvidaha Devano Yatha Sadamidvrade Asannaprayavo Rakshitaro Dive Dive Om Anubadraha Kritavoyantu Vishvato Daktaso Aparitasa Udvidaha Devano Yatha Sadamidvrade Asannaprayavo Rakshitaro Dive Dive Om Anubadraha Kritavoyantu Vishvato Taptaso Aparitasa Udvidaha Devano Yatha Sadamitrite Asannaprayavo Rakshitaro Dive Dive Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Our Sankalpa. I resolve to meditate. May this meditation practice infuse my mind with clarity and stability, and my heart with purity, love, and compassion. May the forces of creation, the sages of the tradition, and the enlightened masters, who always seek out those stranded on the path, witness my resolution and shower their blessings for a successful meditation. Make any additional adjustments to your posture, finding an increased steadiness and ease in the body, the breath, and the mind. Drop awareness into the space of the belly. Release all of the tension and holding, and invite the belly to become a bit more soft and expansive. And then tune into the quite subtle movement within that expansive space. As the diaphragm draws breath in and guides it out again. And then take a moment as you're breathing diaphragmatically with this release of tension and holding in the belly. Can you maintain spinal integrity? Placing your trust in the diaphragm to continue to govern the breath on your behalf. Draw awareness into the space of the nostrils. And for now, particularly the opening of the nostrils. And tune into the subtle sensations of the coming and going of the breath. Relax the tongue and the lips. And relax the throat. Follow the path of the breath and prana specifically, upward and inward to Agya Chakra. A metaphysical space which we are able to gain access to by bringing awareness to a relatively physical space behind the eyes and inward of the ears. Invite all of the senses to turn inward. Concentrating their powers at Agya Chakra. Prepare for Nadi Shodhana, creating Vishnu Mudra. Enjoy another full breath through both nostrils. Followed by an inhale through both. Exhale through the right. In left. Out right. In left. Out right. Inhale right. Out left. In right. Out left. In right. out left. Inhale left. Out right. In left. Out right. In left. Out right. Rest the hand, effortless breath through both nostrils evenly. Vishnu Mudra, inhale both nostrils. Exhale left. In right. Out left. In right. Out left. In right. Out left. Inhale left. Out right. In left. Out right. In left. Out right. In right. Out left. In right. Out left. In right. Out left. Release the hand. Effortless breath through both nostrils evenly. Genuinely effortless. Free of tension in the belly. Prana and awareness draw once again to Agya Chakra. And with a heightened yet still delicate concentration, sense of further merging, unifying of prana and awareness as they joyfully dissolve into one another. Experience this joyful union for a breath or two at the forehead center. Eyebrow center. Eyes. Nostrils. Throat center. Shoulders. Upper arms. Elbows. Wrists. Palms. Fingertips. 2 breaths. Palms. Wrists. Elbows. Upper arms. Shoulders. Throat center. Remain at the throat center for a few more breaths. Loosen any and all unnecessary tension. Heart center. Linger here for a few breaths. Again, releasing tension. One breath at the base of the sternum. A few breaths at the navel center. Again, release tension. Pelvic center. A few breaths. Soft and spacious. And the perineum. Once again, bringing in the Sanskrit names for the 7 primary chakras up and down the length of the spine. Beginning with Muladhara. Internally repeat Muladhara and allow the vibration of the name of the chakra to guide you more precisely to its location, if you will, very near the perineum. With an inhale, ascend to the pelvic center. Svadhisthana. 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 With inhale, ascend to the navel center. Manipura. 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 One breath at the base of the sternum. Ascend to the heart center. Anahata. 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 With inhale, ascend to the throat center. Visuddha. 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 With inhale, ascend to the center of the head. Agya. 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 With inhale, ascend to the crown. Sahasrara. 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 Again, check spinal alignment and release unnecessary tension or holding, especially in the belly. With the next inhale, lift prana and awareness just above Sahasrara chakra. And with exhale, descend through Sahasrara, Agya, Visuddha, Anahata, Manipura, Svadhisthana to Muladhara. Without pause, inhale from Muladhara. through Svadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Visuddha, Agya to Sahasrara. Continue again without pause, exhaling from Sahasrara down through each chakra, eventually reaching Muladhara. And without pause, transition to inhale and reascend. Paying special attention to passing through each of these sacred spaces to the best of your ability, both on the descent and the ascent. Smooth and steady without pause or jerk or hitch. And if you can maintain that smooth, steady quality, perhaps the names of each of the chakras flash in awareness as prana passes through them. Remaining effortless. One more breath and then remain at Sahasrara Chakra. Maintaining a lifting sensation of both prana and awareness at the crown. Begin to attune the inner ear to the primordial sound and felt sense of the mantra Om. And as you continue to attune, to align with Om, call to mind the definition of pranava, which is equivalent to Om. Pranava, ever fresh, eternally new, pure and replete with possibility. Sense pranava as though emerging from the mouth of a spring, as a nectar or an elixir of pure possibility. With the next exhale, draw Om Pranava down again through the midline of the space of the body, saturating each chakra along the way, reaching all the way to Muladhara. And again, without pause, inhale and ascend. Tapping back into that nectar or elixir flowing eternally from this spring. Exhale and descend, drawing it down through and saturating each chakra. Continue. Bringing purity, freshness, newness to each center, each layer of being. With the next exhale, descend to Anahata Chakra, heart center, and remain there. Again, saturated with pranava, Om. Facilitated by the circulatory powers of the heart. Sense this pranava Om circulating now throughout the entire body and beyond. Saturating each individual cell. Each fiber of your being. until every layer of being, every chakra, body, pranic body, mind, heart, soul, are alive with, perhaps pulsating or vibrating with this experience of pranava, om, ever fresh, eternally new, pure, and replete with possibility. Soften any of the rough edges that may have crept in, soft and spacious. Begin to concentrate prana and awareness once again at the heart center. With the next inhale, ascend to Sahasrara Chakra, the crown of the head. And with exhale, descend to Agya Chakra. Two more times. Inhale, ascend from heart to Sahasrara Chakra. Exhale, descend to Agya. Once more. Inhale, ascend Anahata to Sahasrara Chakra. Exhale, Agya. And begin to deepen the breath with awareness here at Agya Chakra. Bring the hands together at the heart, bow the head. Take a moment to acknowledge your inner teacher, inner guide, that part of the self that is ever pure, that knows and knows that it knows. We'll make our offering. Due to the current quality of the building blocks of my body, senses, and mind, or due to habits or strong impressions from the past, I may not have attended my meditation in as deep and pristine a manner as my inner being intended. And yet I pray to the forces governing both my inner and outer worlds to accept the fruits of my practice as a pure and unblemished offering. Rub the palms. Place the palms wherever you'd like for another breath or two. And transition awareness back to the outside world. Go ahead and reach for your journals. And let's start by just describing the internal experience, internal environment of friendliness. What is the quality of that experience or environment? How does it feel? Now call to mind someone you often experience animosity toward. And see if you can hold them in your mind while fostering this internal environment of friendliness. Just notice if it's possible, where the difficulty or the resistance might come in. Give that a few more breaths. And then in your journal, create two columns. So just draw a line down the middle of a page. And in one column, toward the top, write animosity. And in the other column, friendliness. And then I'm going to identify a pair of opposites. And I'd like you to write one of each in the appropriate column, and the appropriate column for you, how you experience it. So for example, spicy and cooling is animosity. Bye, baby, I love you. Have a good day. Is animosity or friendliness, spicy or cooling? Next pair of opposites, expansive, constricting. Soft and sharp. Binding, liberating. I think we get the idea. If there are any others that come to mind that can describe sort of the polarity of the experiences of animosity and friendliness in your body and mind, go ahead and note those down as well. Okay. So before we go too much further, I just want to point out one of the subtle differences between this pair of animosity and friendliness versus judgment and non-judgment, self-righteousness and non-judgment, which is the fourth contaminant and antidote. Sometimes we will experience animosity not only toward those who we perceive as more successful than we are, but that same feeling of animosity with a slightly different hue can arise in response to those who we deem non-virtuous, people that we think are bad. Okay? So we're not talking about the people that we think are bad guys at this point in time. That will be in week 4. The judgment of the non-virtuous, also known as self-righteousness. That's number 4. So this week we're working with animosity toward those who have something that we want and don't currently have or don't perceive ourselves as having. Okay. For example, it can be difficult to create an internal environment of friendliness toward a child abuser. And we're not trying to. We're creating an internal environment of friendliness toward someone we're experiencing animosity toward for having something that we perceive ourselves as not having, but that we want. Someone we perceive as more successful than we are. Okay, so work with the contaminant more than the individual, because you may feel a multitude of contaminants in regard to a certain person or group of people. So try to isolate the animosity specifically. For example, there are certain individuals who are doing things that I judge as immoral, and that is going to stimulate a reaction of self-righteousness in me. And they may also be someone who has the financial success, the position of power or recognition that a part of me craves. So hone in on the animosity more than the self-righteousness or judgment for the time being. Is it possible that this success that this person has either is the result of hard work or good karma that we know nothing about? Or is it negative karma that's going to play out in a way that we don't need to know or understand, but can just trustfully surrender to? Are any of those three a possibility? Again, animosity toward someone you perceive as more successful in some way. Again, not generally, not this person is, black and white more successful than me, but the part of them that it triggers this animosity. Is it in some way an expression of one of your unmet, unfulfilled desires? So I'll give you another personal example, then we'll open it up. So I have in the past and will likely in the future experienced a stab of anger, animosity toward yoga teachers on social media that have a really strong following, a broad scope of influence, who I justify, and I have animosity toward them because they have what I want, which is a lot of students to teach, and probably financial security as a result. Do I really want a lot of students to teach? I don't actually, because I like this, but that's a fairly recent realization for me. For a long time, I associated success with lots of students and financial security as a result. That was my definition of success as a yoga teacher. I'm happy to report that it has shifted. However, there is still that lingering when someone's got a broad scope of influence. That's what I have the animosity toward, but I justify my animosity by pulling in my self-righteousness and saying, oh, but the reason I'm upset about this is because they're misrepresenting yoga. They're misrepresenting the tradition. And so I justify my animosity with my self-righteousness. But really, there's actually a hint of another contaminant there as well, which is jealousy. So they, weave a tangled web. But right now, we're working with animosity specifically. Can I look at the way in which I perceive that person or those people as more successful than I am and think, you know what? Maybe they're up early and up late and working with a business coach and investing the time and the money and the energy to, figure out the algorithm and create the business side of things that is allowing them, or maybe they're engaging that much more, that's allowing them to have this influence, this scope. Maybe they do have some good karma that I'm completely unaware of. That is the result, and this is the result of that their voice is meant to be heard in this lifetime. Or maybe this is going to lead to a fall from grace that is going to be the exact karma that they need in order to learn a necessary lesson and move on their path toward freedom and fulfillment. There are a lot of elements that are unknown to me. And I'm just hyper focusing on the one thing that gets me because I want it and they have it. So can I say, you know what? Maybe they worked really hard in this lifetime or a past lifetime, or this is exactly what they're going to need in order to progress on their personal spiritual journey. Cool. And if I want what they have, then perhaps I use that as inspiration to get up a little earlier or stay up a little later or engage a little more if that's genuinely what I want. If it's genuinely what I want, then I will be willing to do the work to get it. If it isn't, then I won't. Does that kind of make sense? All right. Any little adjustments to your reflection, you can make them, and or we can just open it up and chat. Such fun work, isn't it? We can start. Does anybody have any input on what an internal environment of friendliness feels like? Go ahead, Helen.
Um, for me, it feels like acceptance. Just like this knowing, this realization that no matter what it is, it belongs. All the little pains, physical, emotional, it belongs. And yeah, just this acceptance, that to me is friendliness.
Beautiful. Yeah, sort of an unconditional welcoming
Mm.
of whatever. Beautiful. And how does that feel?
Relieving. Feels like a relief to to realize that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We siphon off a lot of our energy and our power, our Shakti, into these contaminants. We use so much of our personal Shakti to fuel our engagement with the contaminants. And it's like the antidote comes in and puts a stopper on that and says, no, no, we're going to cut off that stream of power. And now suddenly your personal reservoir is filling back up again. And you can invest that Shakti, that personal power into something that is meaningful to you, positive, purposeful utilization of our power, not wasting it. Yeah. Thanks, Helen. Anybody else? Claire.
I just wrote down that it feels light and spacious. But then I was just reflecting on it, it also feels kind of full at the same time, but in a nice way. So I don't know why it feels spacious and full, but it kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
Like full of something.
Like a meadow full of wildflowers.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of weeds.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe when you encounter she who shall not be named at work, you can just imagine stepping into that meadow full of wildflowers and just hold her in this environment of friendliness.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Have you gotten any closer to an articulation of what it is that she seems to embody that maybe you would like to embody as well?
It's really weird because I feel like logically I'm like I don't I don't want to be like her because she's a very unpleasant person. Like she's mean. But when I was writing down yesterday what my internal enemies were, I wrote down things like anxiety, self-doubt, the kind of like need to do things myself, do it all, and not wanting to look like I've done something wrong or not wanting to look like a bad person.
Mm.
These are all things that I think influence why she behaves the way that she does. And I haven't quite got to what it is that she has. I think actually I do. I think I'm someone who often will bottle up how I'm feeling, and I don't really express what I need, or I will just listen and take on other people's stuff and deal with my own stuff internally. Whereas she is the opposite of that. She will tell you what she thinks, and that is the thing that I find challenging, but also that I can reflect and be like, but I do kind of wish I was a bit more like that, like not to that degree,
Yeah.
and not to the I don't think she's got any emotional intelligence, but I wish that I had more of that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Less
But
censored,
yeah,
less concerned with how she's perceived by other people.
yeah,
And there is a certain amount of freedom
mm,
to that.
yeah,
She may not be experiencing it as freedom, but there's a part of you that is
yeah.
interpreting it that way. When you were little, Claire, were you told not to speak your mind? Were you taught to bottle things up?
I was brought up in a Christian home, not a strict Christian home, but a very, very loving Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
I was the oldest child. I was the first daughter, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting on this lately. So I think maybe the narrative that I think that I created in my head growing up was be good, look after your brother and sister, you know, be the good little, I was this cute kid with long curly hair who was, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so good, you're so sweet, you're so, and I think, I've kind of like, that was always what's praised.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, oh, is there stuff there that I need to not even maybe undo, but maybe not undo, just recognize? I don't know.
Yeah.
But definite, like I can see why I've grown up to be a bit of a people pleaser, and I want to be less of that,
Mm-hmm.
and to be someone who cares for other people. And it's not that I don't want to care for other people, but sometimes I know that a lot will go to my own detriment to please other people or look after other people, and it's like I don't want to be less that, but also I need to find a better balance.
Yeah. And this person at work seems to be the opposite extreme.
Yeah,
And it's possible that not through, like, your parents praising you is not an inherently wicked thing.
yeah,
It's a
yeah. And I'm
lovely
like, it's
thing.
like it's what you do with kids, right? You're
Yeah.
like, and I
You
see it
praise the
happening with my
behavior that you
niece.
want.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're so good. Oh, that's so great. Oh, you're such a good big sister. Oh, you're so kind. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm perpetuating it. But she is being kind. Shouldn't I tell her? So it's just,
Yeah. Yeah. But it's validating certain qualities,
yeah.
which without even having to articulate it, is saying these are the qualities that are going to get you praise. So keep the
Hmm.
other ones tucked away
Yeah.
because those are not going to get you what you have now grown to feed on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you have internalized this way of being is not okay. Only this part of me
Hmm.
is allowed to face front and,
Yeah.
be seen.
So true.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you've internally disciplined the part of yourself that is maybe more outspoken or more needy or whatever.
Yeah.
You internally disciplined her and said, you do not belong. And now someone outside of you is reflecting the parts of yourself that you have disenfranchised, the parts of yourself that you're oppressing.
Yeah.
Your inner oppressor is pissed off because someone else outside of you has the audacity to be the things that you are not allowed to be.
Yeah. But I don't want to necessarily be like that. I
You
don't know
want to
how
be
I
the Claire version of that.
want to be the Claire version of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can be both honest and kind.
Mm,
You can have boundaries and be compassionate.
yeah.
You can have a balance of caring for yourself and caring for others. You would have to find your way of doing it,
Yeah.
but you're in a place that's out of balance right now. So is she. But there's something in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Thank
she's
you.
probably out of balance because she's suffering.
I see this, although I think this all the time. Just, I, it's frustrating. Is it? I see her with so much compassion because I think she's in a lot of pain, way more pain than I'm in. I think she's suffering way more than I am.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's another thing. But
With this one person, you'll probably have to apply all four antidotes.
100%.
Yeah. So for now, just work with the source of animosity
Yeah.
and
Okay.
spend some more time thinking about how you would want to embody and express the things that she seems to do so freely, but in a way that is aligned with who you choose to be.
Yeah.
Elena.
Hi, sorry, coming to you from the kitchen as I'm making coffee because I have to leave soon. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on this because that really gave me a lot of light bulb moments. So thanks for sharing, Claire, and thanks for explaining again, Natalie, because I think it gets so much clearer once we talk about some examples and really seeing how all those things are coming together as well. And I was also just reminded of, or it helped me understand why I feel so much anger against the last person I dated, for example, because he was definitely in the end, like hindsight, not a nice person, not very emotionally intelligent, wasn't treating me very well, but yet he got like all the things, like he has like a friend group, people that because he's very charismatic, like love him and think very highly of him because he's very intelligent. They think very highly of him. Plus, he gets like the jobs that he wants because also his charisma helps him to kind of be in this like um, good networks for him, so to speak. So like, and this really, even as I'm speaking about it, I can see like the anger bubbling up, and yeah, it's really helpful having those moments of enlightenment for me to kind of put things more into context, I think, and then also work with those things. A friend the other day told me about a Buddhist retreat she went to, and they were working. I forgot the name of the Buddhist concept around that, but I feel she was working around something similar where you try to extend friendliness towards people. And then she said they had like different stages, like first applying the concept or the feeling towards people that you already feel friendly towards or you don't have anything against. And then people you feel neutral or you don't know, for example, towards. And then people with whom it might be a bit more tricky. Um, and I actually wanted to explore that as well because I think I found it very difficult to apply friendliness to certain people, but I think it would be easier for me for the other two categories. So, and she said like then they were told whenever the difficult person got too tricky, like go back to the neutral person, and if even that is too tricky, go back to the friend or whatever. So I also find it quite interesting. Yeah, just wanted to share and will continue to make my coffee. Sorry.
It's okay. It's perfect. Um, yes, I think that kind of scale, if you will, can be really helpful. And then also remember, this is not about you going out and being friends with whoever you have animosity toward. This is about making sure that in their presence, they no longer can trigger you because you have healed the source of animosity within you with this antidote of an internal environment of friendliness. The behavior outwardly may just be neutral. It may just be, civil, calm, and civil. But internally, you're able to reach that external expression because you're walking through this meadow full of wildflowers. Even in their presence. And so then we do this internal contemplation so that as the triggers arise, we have the immediate antidote. As this person is, speaking their mind in a way that we may not wish to, we may not choose to exercise that freedom in that way, but we can also recognize, there she is speaking her mind. I admire that. I may not admire the way in which she's doing it, but I admire that. And that can help to, let a few more wildflowers blossom instead of, the hot sun scorching them or what have you. This is about your liberation, not letting other people off the hook. That's a really important factor. Claire, you might be able to simultaneously admire this person's ability to speak her mind freely and say in the same moment, that tone of voice is harmful. I understand what you're trying to say, but you need to find a better way to say it. And when you're able to say that coming from an environment of friendliness, usually people hear it better. When you come at them with anger and heat, they get defensive pretty immediately. So the goal does not get accomplished. But when you come at it from a place of friendliness, I see what you're trying to accomplish. And I admire your ability to just say what you mean. But if you really want to accomplish that aim, you'll want to adjust the way you say it. Kato, go ahead.
I think it's hard sometimes because
it's hard all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Because when you try to be that, then sometimes at the other side, it's not taken in. So that's where I find it very challenging. And I see it with this past job that I had where my boss was triggering everything because he has what I want. Like he has his own company, he has his own successes. The way he goes about and treats people in the office is totally what I would not do, for example, because it breeds frustration and people just keep complaining, which then triggers an environment I was risen in. So, but then discussing it this morning, it's like, how can I, like, for example, Claire's situation, she knows entirely that's what she wants to do, like that environment. Is it Claire? Entirely, yes.
It's for the time being.
For the time being. And to me, it was the realization of this is not what I want. And I keep going and chasing for things I don't want, to people to tell me what to do when I know what to do, but I still don't trust myself in doing that. So like it's also like finding the line of where is the time to recognize, okay, I've learned this lesson and the external world keeps presenting it to me, why do I keep indulging in it? That's also something very subtle, which is a lack of somewhere else. And then going back to what you said about being jealous and finding it frustrating, even the people here that I see have their own businesses on are yoga teachers and have their own studios. And I'm like, how do they do that? How? And some people here I've realized have had probably money from their parents. And yet again, I never thought about it karmically. Maybe they karmically deserve it. And then you feel that way and you feel a bit shameful because you're like, well, then, like, literally, it always starts from us. Like, the brewing sensation of wanting something is our responsibility. But then, yet, we talk ourselves out of it and justify, as you said, our anger because of some shortcomings that I think pretty much we don't have the courage, maybe at the moment, to take this step. And as Helen was saying, and I've written it down too, like this kind of acceptance, even accepting of the others more also than yourself. It's like accepting where other people are, because that is also hard sometimes to not compare yourself and to feel that time's running out, which is not, and it's silly. So,
Yeah. Another big focal point here, the work that we're doing will change you, but we're not doing it to change anything in the external world. We're not doing this to change how somebody else behaves. Never in our yoga practice are we practicing to try to change something outside of ourselves. If we are, we're going to be met with a tremendous amount of frustration and we're going to become not very nice people.
yeah, no. And I think also I went to something knowing that I didn't want it, and yet I did it because I needed money. And that's always the kind of tail end of things that never end well. Like, it's not gonna last. So, and also trying to change, I went in there trying not to change the environment, but at least how I approached it. So the one thing also I can relate with Claire, I was written to saying, "Oh, you're the good girl. You're always like quiet. You never, you know, make any fuss, and your sister is always rebelling." And I wanted to be the rebel, I wanted to be the one that stands out and be like, "Hey, that enough. I don't want to be the good girl." And sometimes also his reflection of the way he approached life and the way he's just like my boss, like being himself with a tone that does not, obviously, it's not compassionate at all, has no emotional intelligence.
You don't know that.
But well, with how I've seen this, the Office,
Yeah.
because we're borderline, like saying, flying psychopath, you're a psychopath here, like for me, that's not very emotionally intelligent. But to some weird way, he does exactly what he wants. He has his own freedom. He works on the things he wants to work with. He wakes up and does it extensively. And weirdly, I was like, and I want that too. In a completely different context. I want that freedom to, have the opportunity to work with people that I love, and that. So yeah, so light bulb moment for me too this morning. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm sorry to have interjected. We'll get to that in week 4. Upeksha, which is a recognition that we do not and will never see the entire picture. There will always be things we do not know. So we want to try to be cognizant of that there is so much behind the scenes, beyond the scenes, that we cannot grasp. So a statement, I'll just use it as an example. This person has no emotional intelligence. We don't know that to be true. what we're seeing them demonstrate seems to lack emotional intelligence based on our definition of that concept. But we're not with them 24 hours a day from birth to death. We don't know. We will never know all that there is to know about anything. And so we have to accept the humility of there are elements here that are beyond my knowledge and understanding. And that I know it to be true feeds self-righteousness. I'm better than you are. Yeah. And we're not in charge of anybody else. We cannot walk on anybody else's path for them. We have to do ours. We have to walk our path to the best of our ability. If people's behavior triggers us, say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity for me to inquire within as to why this is triggering me. Where is this presenting an opportunity for further self-awareness and growth so that I can progress on my path toward freedom and fulfillment? So that I can learn to genuinely live in this world and not get lost in it. And the contaminants are one of the best ways to get lost in the world. And then we give all of our power away. And the world needs us to be fully in our power and to employ it positively and purposefully. That feels like a good way to end for today, but does anyone else have anything? I will later be sharing photos and videos of juvenile donkeys because we have new neighbors. We got 2 young donkeys delivered yesterday whose sole purpose in life is to eat and poop and love and be loved. Which sounds like a pretty good way. You know, that's some good karma. Yeah. So you have that to look forward to. All righty. Be well. Tend yourself. Nurture that internal environment of friendliness to the best of your ability. Use the triggers as an invitation for self-inquiry. Okay. I love you all. You're doing good work, and I'll see you soon.